Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome everyone to the Good Life, Mindful Mondays with Iya Kemi. It's a new start, a new quarter, the last quarter of 2022. And we have shifted to 9 a.m. and we are now every Monday at 9 a.m. So I'd like to welcome you for those that are catching the replay on Facebook or any other platform that we use. We welcome you and we thank you for joining us. This is brought to you by The Good Life in UC Davis and the City of Oakland. How is everyone? I see we have Phyllis with me today. I have Martha with me today. I know that this time shift is going to be new for most of those that have been joining us, but I'm so grateful that we have the replay that people can come back to. I know that we're repeating a term that was first given when we first started back in April, which is the term acceptance. That is the topic and a theme. And it came to me this morning with all of these shifts and planetary shifts and it being 9 months already gone. We need to accept that this year went by pretty fast. And we need to accept that we have 3 months left in this year already. And so what is it that we can be mindful of and accept, that has the things that have happened in the last 9 months? As we know, babies are born in 9 months. So what have you rebirthed within yourself or accepted within yourself and now are mindful within yourself to move forward this latter part of the year, the last quarter of the year? It's really sometimes challenging when you have your own personal stuff going on and you have family and friends that are pulling from you. And sometimes we have to accept saying the word no. And sometimes we have to accept telling ourselves no to things that we know we want to do, but we need to do other things. So how do we come into that term of acceptance and allowing the flow of life to just be what it is in order to be better at who we are and what we are doing? Miss Phyllis, did you want to share how your week has been and how last week's session played out for you this past week? And now that we're here refreshed in another week, what does that look like for you? And I think you're muted.
It's been a busy week and going to acceptance and the whole 9-month theme. I have a grandbaby that'll be here within maybe a week and a half.
Congratulations.
So that's a good thing. What I can say is, for me, this is really, and I think it's a combination of both therapy, because I get my therapist on Mondays too. I really feel like I'm coming out of a bubble. I recently retired, so I've been really kind of trying to figure it out. And what I've learned with taking the meditation classes and the other stress reduction classes, that I've learned that I don't put a lot of emphasis on it. I'm learning to really go with the flow. And my theme really has been to just learn to be present and to continue to be learning to be present. Because I find I don't get into trouble if I'm being present. Every now and then I fall back to thinking about what was and what could be. But when I'm focusing on what now, number one, it limits my choices, which is good. For me, I can't have too many choices. And for me, it allows me to focus on the significance of things, I just kind of go with the flow. I feel like I'm more accepting of who I am. I am who I am, and this is what I am, and I'm okay with that now. I wasn't before this, but I'm kind of learning that other part of me, which I'm quite happy with. I do feel like there's a part of me that says I've had a year of nothing, which is the retirement of doing nothing, which is good. I don't say that's bad, but what I can also say is I feel like I've had a year of enrichment, especially for my mind. Um, Not so much as for my body. I have to get back to working on that. But definitely for peace of mind and valuing what I have and focusing. I remember when at the first class where we were supposed to write down 50 things that we were grateful about, and I had a hard time with that. So I'm like keeping it simple. I'm so grateful for a lot of things that I lose focus of. That really everything is. I'm grateful for everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say it all the time, but as long as I'm recognizing it as this is a gift, it's not a given, that that I'm grateful. So
That's beautiful.
simplicity.
I think that's beautiful, and that actually goes with today's topic and theme of acceptance. Listening to you, you have come to a place of acceptance and being mindful. A lot of people again think that meditation is just being quiet, and it's really just acknowledging the things that we take for granted. It's being mindful of the thought process that can keep us in loops and not allow us to move forward, and sometimes telling the old stories that we tell ourselves of our traumas and our pains and woulda, coulda, shouldas keep us in that cycle. And sometimes that's okay. Some people need to go through those cycles, but it is being a part of a community or different programs that allow you to connect with others and see things from a whole nother perspective, and to realize that we are not alone in this journey, that we all have fallen short, or what society may deem as fallen short, when sometimes it's just a fallback to restart, because as I believe that in this, it's just a new start to something else. Again, congratulations on the birth of your upcoming grandchild. I know that that is a beautiful thing. And ironically, I mentioned 9 months because we have just completed 9 months of this year and the cycles of life. So you have a Valentine's baby around that time that is joining in the family. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love, love. Um, and I really like the fact that you said that the simplicity of things and bringing up the gratitude list, because some weren't a part of that session when we first began back in April or May, when I had everyone write down 50 things to be grateful for. And sometimes those 50 things could be the simple thing as your intestines, your heart beating, the blood flowing through your body, the roof over your head, being able to hear, see, taste. Those are the simple things that we forget.
We forget. Yeah.
There are some people that don't hear, that don't see, but they still are happy and merry in life and not allowing anything to bother them. They have accepted their what some may see as a disability, and some just see as that's their gift, to be able to hear without hearing through the ears, but hear through a vibration. Because people who may not be able to hear, they can feel the drums, they can feel the wind chimes, they can feel certain things that we don't even acknowledge, because they have to find a way to adapt to the situation and accept their current state. So I thank you for sharing that, Miss Phyllis. I really appreciate that. Kokoye, I see we have two of you, so I want to make sure I acknowledge you and see if there's anything that you would like to share on this beautiful Moon Day, Monday, start of the first Monday of October, and how the word acceptance comes to you. And I think you're still on mute.
I have nothing to say except that I had a lot of difficulty this morning. So now I'm chilling.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I was sharing with the Good Life how, this is an adjustment. to it all, because we've been going for 1 p.m. for the last 6 months almost, and now we're shifting to every Monday at 9 a.m. And sometimes it's good to get your day started this way instead of, um, you know, allowing the day to go by and then jump starting your day after a meditation in the middle of a day. So hopefully today's energy will be uh, charging and allow you to recharge in the moment of being present here. Welcome, Terry. I see that you have joined, and I'm so glad that you weren't the only one as well. I think we all were adjusting to this shift of time. So I appreciate you making the sacrifice for you and being present here for you, because this is all for you and your wellness and your betterment. I see that we have a new name by the name of Jan. I want to acknowledge you as well and welcome you to the Good Life. Meditate with Iya, Mindful Mondays. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm new here, and I thought that 9 a.m. on Monday was a perfect way to begin my week.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. So since you're new here, I would like to just kind of go over a little bit how we move in the morning. I normally check in with everyone and see how their week has been, and then we put a word of intent in the space so that we can hold space for one another and whatever is in alignment with the theme, which is today is acceptance. So what is it in that theme, or what word comes to mind when you think of acceptance? And how can we hold space to bring in that energy and that intent in for you as a collective?
Wow. Acceptance. I am working on acknowledgement of listening to other people and responding to them, just letting them know that I hear them. So I think acknowledgement would be my word.
I love that. Listening to people versus kind of coming up with your already preconceived thoughts. You're accepting and acknowledging them for where they are. I love that. That's been a theme for me this weekend as well. Phyllis, would you like to share a word that you would like to put in the space according to this theme?
Let me think about that. Come back.
No problem, no problem.
Okay.
You know, that it is something to take into consideration, falls in this space. Sometimes it's the first word that comes to mind, and we put more pressure on ourselves and say, no.
What came to mind was survival.
I love that.
And I thought, well, that's a little drastic.
I love that.
What came to my mind was survival.
Survival. I love that. And if you are unable to unmute, but you want to put the word in the space, we can do so. I think we're going to have about 15 minutes for meditation. But I do want to get everyone's intent into the space so that we can collectively hold the space for you, because words have vibration. And since we're dealing with mindfulness and we're dealing with sound, a thought is a sound, even if it's in your head, and the universe can hear it and it can act upon that thought, especially if there's a lot of energy behind it. So in being mindful of acknowledging that simplicity, how does that play out when we are looking to survive? Terry's thinking. I see Martha thinking.
I like acceptance. I like acceptance. I'm resisting aging, and I realize that I've got to accept the fact that mentally and physically, I'm no longer the person I was. And that's kind of hard to deal with sometimes. So acceptance of old age and the problems that, or the benefits that come, is one of the things that I'm really working on.
I love that. I love that. I think many people go through that, and it's interesting that that word came after survival. And survival, in looking at what it means as a noun, is the state or fact of continuing to live or exist. It's interesting, despite, and it's typically in spite of the difficulties, right?
Mhm.
And if we look at difficulties, are they really difficulties or are they opportunities to have a new perspective?
True. Like that.
Opportunities to have a new perspective. So it could be difficult, but again, it's how we feel about it and shifting and changing how we feel. So that acceptance sometimes is not easy, but if we realize, you know what, I've come this far and I lived this long and I got so much more to live, I can do this, this, and that now that I'm free of a child or free from having to go to school or retired and free from having to work for somebody. Now I'm working for myself. So what does that look like in my day to day? What do I like doing? Sometimes it's simply even getting a coloring book and taking yourself back to your inner child and coloring for the day. That is accepting that I'm retired. I don't have to do anything for anyone but myself and keep myself happy. So that's definitely something that I want to share and hold the space for those that may be challenged with, getting older. I won't put my age in the group because to me it doesn't matter. It may make one feel a certain way. However, I feel like I'm getting up there. I feel that way. And I can understand the feeling of fear. However, I'm embracing my grace. I'm embracing that with it was a challenge, but I know I have more challenges ahead of me and I see them as opportunities. I see that we have the word belonging. That is a beautiful thing to put in this space when we are in this very eclectic society that we live in. We try to find out where's our place. What is our space in this conglomerate? What are we here to do, and who is our tribe, so to speak? Who is our tribe? Kokoye, I see that you are unmuted.
I thought of the word graciousness.
Mm.
When I think of acceptance, sometimes I'm thinking of things that people offer us that we may not necessarily need or want, but they're offering them from a good place. And I think I'm growing more gracious in being able to accept those offers. And then if I don't need them or want them, let them go. In the sense, if it's material things, passing them on to someone else, or advice, just letting it go. But being gracious to them when they offer, because yes, I think friends and loved ones are coming from a good space when they offer things, and at some other point in your life, they may be more useful, but just right then, they aren't. And I'm learning to be gracious about accepting those offers anyway.
I love that. I love that. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about being okay and accepting that it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no sometimes because sometimes we don't have to do things that we think we have to do. It's in knowing what it is that is in alignment with you and having grace to say it politely, no, no, thank you, or not at this moment. And being gracious with yourself, even in that, because sometimes you might want something that you know that it's not the time to have. And so you have to give yourself grace, even if you do want it and say, I had a little bit of it. So I'm going to give myself grace. I didn't overextend myself or get too engrossed in what it is that I know I shouldn't be engrossed in. Okay. So thank you for sharing. And then we have one more share. I want to hold space for you, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the meditation. Did anything come up for you, Miss Terry?
So good morning, everyone. So at first I was thinking, I ain't accepting nothing. Like I'm trying to figure it all out. I ain't accepting nothing. And then I thought, I'm accepting the fact that I can't do it all. I can't do it all, be there for all. I'm not every woman, and I don't want to be anymore. So that's what I came up with.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, that's especially since it's mainly women here on this current live. I'm sure that there are men that do chime in, but women, we are nurturers. So we do try to be superwoman and everything and overly nurturing. Acknowledging that and accepting that you can't do it all and you need help, that is the first step to getting the help that you need. And I know all about that because we want to do it all because nobody can do it the way that you're going to do it. So we don't trust nobody else to do it. So that then comes the acceptance that it's time to teach and reach back to those and teach them how to do it, and then maybe even learn something in that time. Because again, the beauty of connecting with other people is being able to share knowledge, wisdom, and learn from one another. And if you don't have those type of people around you, then it's time to accept that it's time to get new friends and possibly network in new arenas that more pique your interest and that are more in alignment with where you're heading. So now that we have everyone's intent of what we are letting go of or bringing in, allow yourself to get into a comfortable position. If you want to turn your cameras off, you may do so. I am going to let you know I am starting with a drum. It won't be as intense as it has been in the past because I am aware that it gets a little bit loud, but I don't want to startle anyone when we start because I want to activate your heart chakra. It will be a gentle meditation because it is early, so it won't be as, how can I say, too many instruments this morning. It won't have as many instruments, but it will be a beautiful sight to watch as well as listen to. So I will proceed with sharing. And We acknowledge and accept our survival that has gotten us to this point. We give grace to our higher selves and our physical selves. We acknowledge the now and we accept all that is. May we grant ourselves the serenity to only allow us to accept those things that we can control and let go of those things that we cannot. Allow us the grace to ask for help and accept the help that is here in the now, to flow with grace, to flow with ease, to flow with the knowing that now is all we have. To live our best life now, to call upon the things that we need help with, to fulfill our desires, dreams, and goals. As you acknowledge the space that you're in, take a deep breath, expanding your belly and your chest. Exhale through the mouth with a sigh, a ha, or some type of sound. Repeat 2 more times. Acknowledge where you're tense. Loosen your shoulders, your jaw, your eyebrows. And once you're ready, you can come back into the space and know that you belong where you are in this moment. You have all of those things that are around you. And when you accept and have gratitude for what you have, more will come to align you with the things that you have been desiring, journaling, implementing. Whenever anyone is ready, you may feel free to share what you felt, what you may have seen, whether it was colors, whether it was tension in the body, whether it was thoughts, whatever may have come up during that time. What would you like to share? Terry, I see that you're unmuted.
I felt very calm, and I felt excited about starting my day this way instead of just jumping up and running into the day. This is a good way to start.
Thank you for sharing. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Kokoye, I see that you have unmuted.
When you were talking, Iya, it struck me when you said, now is the time. And then I said to myself, the only time. The past can't be altered. The future isn't here yet. So what can we do about that? Being present, now. It was just really meaningful. Now is not only the time, it's the only time that we have to do anything with. That's the thought I'll take with me from today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to share something on the screen that I definitely want you guys to see because I think it is monumental to what we are discussing today. If I can get me to the share screen button. 10 things that we cannot change. We can't change God. God created all of this. The Most High, whatever name you give. We can't change facts. We can't change the past. We can't change the present. We can't change the future. I kind of beg to differ on the past and the present, or the present and the future, because it's our actions in the now and our character in the now that determine our future and determine the story of our life. But the way of life is right now. The way others behave right now is not something I can change. My concrete or fixed limitations, such as age, I thought of, something we shared earlier. We can't change that. And then we can't change anything that we don't have the authority or power over. We can really only focus on ourselves. in changing ourselves. So if we realize that we cannot change these things, then we can accept that others are the way that they are and behave how they behave, and it has nothing to do with us. Our age is what it is. We can look at the beauty of how far we've gotten and the beautiful things that we've experienced from the time of birth until now. And then when we come to the authority of power over, we only have power over ourselves. So we can only change things within ourselves. And if we tell our story of life a little bit different, from a different perspective, it may make the journey a little bit more acceptable if we acknowledge more of the good parts versus the traumatic parts, the fun parts versus the traumatic parts. Even when we tell stories about our ancestors, we want to tell the good things. And all stories are not always good, but there's some good that happened somewhere in there, whether it was the cooking, whether it was the going over during the holidays, whether it was one word of advice that was given by one of those elders before they transitioned, or youth if they transitioned at a young age. I see some are writing. Did everyone get what is being shared here? I don't want to come off the screen if everyone is gathering the information. Okay. So, Phyllis, I see you're unmuted. Would you like to share?
Yeah. Oh, going back to the section, I know for me, the drums kind of, I got a sense of battle, like preparing for battle or alertness or determination. And I think one of the other, Terry said, I think, what she said, excited. She felt like it spurred me up versus the chimes had a very opposite effect. It was very gentle, very soft, but and even with the intensity, it was, I kind of sensed the vibration that went along with it, but it was still opposite feelings. One, I felt like I had to be on alert versus the other one, I could just kind of sit back and take it in. And on the things that I cannot change, what I've learned is that's a part of this kind of transition. And what I have learned is I have the ability to change how I respond. That I don't, whereas you're right, I'm learning I can't change people. I can't change how they think. I can't change myself half the time. But so how I can't expect others the same. But what I can do, and I think that really has contributed to my the peacefulness, that I don't have to react. And I like that. I mean, it took me 64 years to get to that, but
You got there.
timing is everything, and it came when it was supposed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That word of react versus respond, there's a big difference between that. And sometimes we don't acknowledge that oftentimes we come from a fight or flight, the root chakra, which is to react. You said something, I didn't like it, so I'm going to react and say what I have to say, or I'm going to react in a physical way. When really sometimes we have to, as Jan said earlier, is acknowledge what we're listening to, hear what's being said in order to respond in a proper way versus react. So that's being mindful again, just being mindful that let me put myself in this person's shoes. I may not agree with what they're saying, but I understand because I'm listening and I have a little of an understanding, so I don't have to react, but I can respond from wisdom. I can respond from peace. I can respond from accepting you for where you are right now. And I may not even need to respond and just listen, because sometimes that's all people want, is to be heard. And so we have to take the time to even listen to ourselves. So it's interesting. I like how you said that, because I was going to say that the drum was definitely an activation.
Yeah, the word.
Yes.
I didn't want it to say battle, but I did. I felt like it spurred me on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because it's the tribal beat that kind of brings up that energy in the heart, because your heart has memory and so does your blood. So in that, you were being activated to be in the present moment and flow. If you even looked at the image, it was a flow with the grass. It was a flow with the trees. It was little even fairy looking stuff, and the water was flowing. So how can you flow and still be calm? Because the wind chimes deal with air. So the energy of air can sometimes be forceful, but yet it's graceful if we allow it to be. So how can we be in the flow of acceptance or the flow of allowing and still have our hearts in it and still be activated to I don't even want to use the word fight, but to do the work, the survival work, to make sure that we're surviving in the midst of the battle that requires us to be at peace. Because when there's chaos that is going around, as long as you're at peace, it's kind of like the movie Matrix when Neo he fell back and missed all the bullets. It was because he stood on his square and he stood in his peace and was able to see everything that was coming his way before it even reached him. So it's us being aware of our patterns that are around us, and the people that are around us, they have cycles and patterns. And when we accept their patterns and cycles, and we know it's not us, and we can acknowledge, okay, I've allowed them to affect my energy this far. And now I need to accept the fact that they are where they are. I can't fix them. Let me not try to over nurture them and nurture myself. Okay. So that goes back to the acknowledging people, accepting, and even that belonging aspect. Because some of us feel like we belong to other people when we really belong to the Most High. And we're here to be of service to the Most High so that we can be of service to those that come along our paths. So continue with the graciousness in doing that and acknowledging. I think Terry put something major in the space today when she said, I can't do it all and I give up. I can't do it all. I accept that I can't do it all.
And that's
That's a very big one, especially when it comes to our activities for the day and things that we have to do for the day. We might have a list of 20 things on the list and like, yeah, I got to get this all done by the end of the week. Sometimes we have to accept that only 3 things need to get done today. And then we need to take an hour to ourselves to nurture ourselves, whether that's in the middle of the day or even winding our day down at 6 o'clock and saying, you know what, 6 until I lay my head down is for me. It's okay if I want to watch TV and binge and watch TV. But sometimes we have to accept, okay, I haven't moved today. Let me go walk around the block. It doesn't have to be 3 blocks, 4 blocks like I normally do, but at least one walk. It's accepting that. Because if we acknowledge, then we can accept. So I am grateful for the word of acknowledgement being put in the space today, because without acknowledgement, we can't accept and we can't give ourselves grace. So for the word survival, it's something about that word that has me on the fight or flight type energy. So it's definitely a word that we have to look at in a different manner to know that we're thriving. Because I think thriving is more of a word that has a lighter connotation to it. And I believe that was one of our words last week, is that we're thriving in the midst of what seems to be chaos. And as we know, through chaos comes order. But we have to acknowledge the chaos, accept the chaos, and be gracious with it. To know that not everything belongs in that chaos. So some stuff we have to get rid of and be okay with allowing it to go. Even if it's friends, family, long time relationships, whatever it may be, if it's disrupting our peace of mind and our good life, how can we move forward with clarity? Martha and Jen, would you guys like to share your experience before we end today's session?
Well, for me, the drums brought peace, and it calmed me, made me peaceful. But as I look through these things that we cannot change, I realize that a lot of the times as I travel through my day, I encounter lots of them, facts, past, present, story of my life impacts various things during the day. But now that I have this list, I say, oh, that's one of the things I cannot change. Let me not deal with that and just go on and do my thing. So I appreciate this list because it's a lot of food for thought.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Jan, I'm not sure if you're still with us, but
I'm here.
how was your first experience?
Well, I feel a little overwhelmed. So much good things I'm listening to, and I feel like I want to be a participant, but I don't know what's expected or how. I love the river. I get peace in my heart from water of any kind. The drum was wonderful. I think it was going according to my heart. And the chimes were just lightening, my soul and kind of getting me ready to do things. So, like I said, I feel a little overwhelmed, but it was wonderful. And I should have something to be writing, so I know I'll be ready with that next time. Because you have so much to say and I can't remember it all.
Oh, well, you can always go back on Facebook because it is going to be recorded and saved on the Facebook page for The Good
Oh, yeah.
Life. So you
Okay.
can always go back to notes in between now and next Monday.
Okay.
But nothing is expected of you but for you to come and be present for you.
I love that.
I have no other expectation of you but to be present and for me to be and us collectively to be what we need in this time, in this moment, because this is a collective energy. I
Yes.
may be guiding it, but however, we are collectively participating in this session. So I appreciate your first time. It can be overwhelming, but be gentle with yourself and give grace and know that hopefully it's a good overwhelm and not something that that is heavy.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So please make sure that you are following The Good Life on social media so that you don't have to miss anything that we are offering. Mindful Mondays, again, will continue every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. They are on Facebook and Instagram. There is a free health fair that is taking place in November on the 19th. All the information is in the chat room, but you can go to thegoodlifepath.org to see all of the things that are coming up. This is the last quarter of the year, so all of the schedule for the other activities of the year are on thegoodlifepath.org. And again, you can follow The Good Life Path on Facebook and IG. And you can also follow Undeniable Alchemy on Facebook and IG if you want to get more from me. If you're on social media, you can definitely follow me at Undeniable Alchemy on Facebook and IG. And if there isn't anything else, I would like to definitely close the container and this space. Does anyone have any questions before I close the space and the container? Well, I want to thank you all for bringing your higher selves here and also bringing your ancestors because they're always with us, protecting you from the front, the back, and the side. I give thanks for all directions, north, south, east, west, wherever you are on the continent, and of course, above and below the feet that are the ground that our feet are on, and the direction within me that connects me to each and every one of you. I pray that you have an amazing, amazing week, and I'm trusting that all will be well. I hope that you have an amazing start of your day and start of your week. Remember, you can always come back to the recording on Facebook if you need a refresher in the midst of this week. And I look forward to seeing you next week at 9 a.m. You guys have a great week. Thank you so much.